Are you tired of making your beats in a program that's named after a bowl of cereal? You say you want to make beats in Pro Tools, huh? Well, let me show you how we do it, baby. What up, y'all? This your boy Wavy Wayne, and I'm about to show you how not to make a beat in Pro Tools, but how to quantize after you have recorded in Pro Tools. All right, make sure y'all check out my website wavywayne.com. I just dropped a beat making template on there to make it really easy using stock virtual instruments in Pro Tools. You can swap those out for any others you may have, but using stock virtual instruments in Pro Tools, I got the tracks already set up for you and everything ready to go, so you can just open it up and start to create. All right, so again, that's www.wavywayne.com. Check out the website, look at that beat making template, and this is gonna help you out with that. The thing I'm going to talk about today is how to actually quantize your performance after you have created it. And I'm going to talk about all kind of quantization, not just quantizing MIDI data, but quantizing audio and quantizing elastic audio in Pro Tools, because you can do it all right? So let's just go ahead and jump right into my session. I'm going to show you what I got set up, and we're going to check it out. So first thing that I have is this instrument track here. All right, and of course, whenever you are creating MIDI in Pro Tools, whenever you want to record and make a beat, you should always use a click track. The easy way to do that is to go up to the track menu and hit create click track. Now, I've already created my click track, and I've actually already laid down a little MIDI performance, a little MIDI drum performance. I'm gonna play it for you so you can hear what I got. All right. Yeah, nothing impressive, but this is just for the purposes of this example. Now we can hear that the timing is not exactly perfect during that MIDI performance, all right? So quantization is going to help me to perfect it, and we can quantize this MIDI data in a couple different ways. One way is to use MIDI real-time properties. MIDI real-time properties is a very easy way to quantize. You simply just turn it on and it quantizes your notes automatically. The good thing about using real-time properties is that doing it this way, you get to preserve the original performance. So if I like the way that I played this in because it had a more human feel and everything wasn't so static to the grid, well, I could use real-time properties, experiment with some quantization, and if I didn't like it, I just turn it off and then I got my original performance. So to work with MIDI real-time properties, we can do this in a couple of ways. One way is to show the real-time properties view. The real-time properties view affects the entire track. So if I go up to the view menu, choose edit window views, real-time properties. You see I got a couple real-time properties to choose from here: quantize, duration, delay, velocity, and transpose. All right, so I'm just gonna focus on quantization right now. You see, as soon as I turn that on, you can actually see my MIDI notes kind of snap to the quantized grid right away. Boom, just that easy. Let's listen to that performance now. Perfect in timing. You can even increase a swing to give a little bit more of a human feel, a little more of a relaxed feel. All right. Another way to use real-time properties is to use the real-time properties floating window. Now the floating window is beneficial because it will allow you to apply clip by clip based real-time properties, right? Whereas the real-time properties view, again, is only for the entire track. Whatever's on that track is going to be receiving those real-time properties. But if I go up to the event menu and choose real-time properties, MIDI real-time properties. I'm being slow today, okay? So if I open up my real-time properties floating window, you see under apply to, I can actually choose to apply it to a track, or if I had individual clips on this track, I could apply these real-time properties to the individual clips separately. I can also expand the real-time properties after activating. You see that it automatically quantizes it. I can also expand for more parameters that I could change from, as you see here. All right, I can set my quantized grid, whether I want to choose a 16th note, 18th note, quarter note, or whatever, and the notes will snap to that nearest grid value. Okay, that's how quantization works using MIDI real-time properties. So that's pretty easy. I'm going to turn that off and show you the other way. So another way to apply quantization is actually to go up to the event menu, choose event operations, and quantize. All right. Now, by doing it this way, you don't get to preserve the actual original timing. Once you make the change, you can undo it, but the original performance is ultimately gone if you continue like making other edits and changes throughout your session. This may not be a bad thing. Maybe your timing just sucks and you don't ever want to see it again. So, like, I ain't gonna need to make a joke, but here it is, the event operations quantize window. Under what to quantize, I usually just hit note on. I'm not so much worried about the note off in most cases, and preserve note duration. Yeah, I don't want you to stretch out the note. So just note on, that means that the start of the note will snap to the closest timing grid. Cool. And then you can come down and choose your quantize grid. You can choose from one of these strict timing grids: 8th note, 16th note, quarter note. 16th note is the default setting. If I'm playing something faster than that, maybe I got some fast hi-hats, some rolls and stuff, then I might want to go with a faster quantize setting, like a 30-second note setting. But I'm gonna stick with 16th note. I could really even drop down to 8th note because I haven't played anything more than an 8th note in this performance. But just for the sake of, you know, moving fast, the 16th note works unless I'm more than a 16th note off. Now, this is where a lot of people go wrong when they quantize, is their performance will be so bad that when they quantize, it still ain't right. Well, if you are playing terribly out of time, Pro Tools will only quantize it to the nearest value. So if I'm more than a 16th note away from where I want it to be, then I'm going to be at the next 16th note. All right. So you got to have some type of rhythm while you playing in to kind of get close. That's why using that click track is so important. If you didn't play without a click track, forget about it. Forget about it. All right. So I'm going to stick with my 16th note and simply just hit apply, and you'll see those notes snap to the grid. Let's undo that. Command Z. And under my quantize grid, though, if you see, I do have my strict quantize options, but down below I have what are called groove templates, right? So I can actually use a groove which will make my MIDI performance or any other performance that I'm quantizing match up with a performance groove or feeling of another performance that was saved and extracted. All right. You see, we have plenty of groove templates: Cubase, MPC, Logic, Fill Injector. If I'm gonna go with a groove, I typically like the MPC style, like a 51% groove, but I'm gonna go with like a 56%, so it's a little more dramatic, let you hear exactly what it sounds like. I'm gonna hit apply, and we'll hear this. All right, so if you feel that, it's just a little more of a swing to it, right? A little more of a groove instead of being so strict to the time and grid, okay? Now, there is another type of quantization that you can use using these event operations, and that is input quantize. Input quantize is useful because it will automatically quantize the incoming notes as you are playing them in. To activate input quantize, you can go up to the event menu, choose event operations, and instead of quantize, go down to input quantize. Now, all you have to do here is hit enable input quantize. Whenever that's turned on, the rest of the parameters are pretty much the same as all the other quantize operations. But now the input quantize is turned on, anything that I play is automatically going to snap to the nearest 16th note because that's what's selected here. So it's going to automatically quantize itself as I'm playing it in. So I'm going to go ahead and record enable this track. And what I'm going to do is add new MIDI data. I'm going to add some hi-hats to this clip here. So to do that, I need to make sure that MIDI merge is turned on. MIDI merge is a feature that allows you to add new MIDI data to an existing MIDI clip. All right. So basically, let me just go open up my transport window. Transport. make sure that MIDI merge is turned on. If you don't see this section, then you just click this little drop down menu on your transport and show the MIDI controls. All right, so I got my MIDI merge turned on, and then I'm just gonna start recording. Got my count off turned on. Here we go. Here we go. Cool. So there it is. I played that in. Now let's listen back. Now if you see, I was kind of off and some of the notes were terribly off, and so we got a little error here. If you make a mistake like that and you just want to edit this manually, you can simply double click on the clip with the grabber tool and it'll open up your MIDI editor in Pro Tools. All right. So now I got my MIDI editor opened up. I'm just gonna go in and change whatever needs to be changed. It seems like there's a double note right there. Let's change the grid value here. Boom. And I can actually just hold the option key as I drag that note. Option, drag that note too. Boom. So now that should be good. Yeah. Oh, I forgot the rest of this ain't quantized no more, huh? That's why it sounds like that. Quantize. Let's just quantize everything because the kick and the snare I had undid that. Hey, that's my MPC style groove. So you see, it's like it's more groovy. Let's just undo that. Go with a standard 16th note quantize. All right, and that's how you quantize MIDI in a few different ways. You got the MIDI real-time properties, you have quantizing from event operations, and you also have input quantize. All right, now let's take a look at quantizing audio clips. So what I have here, I have a little drum performance, and don't worry about this last track. We're gonna get to that later. But I got a little performance here. Yikes. All right, so the timing is all off on that. Imagine that was a drum performance you just recorded in, or maybe you making a beat using these one-shot samples this way and you want to snap them to the grid. All right, so if I have audio clips that I want to quantize in this way, right, what I can do is make a selection over those audio clips, go up to the event menu, choose event operations, quantize. When I open up this quantize, I can choose under what to quantize, and you see I have the choice to choose elastic audio events, which we're not going to do right now, or audio clips. Now when you quantize audio clips, the start of the clip actually snaps to the quantized grid. So the start of the clip itself is going to snap to the nearest grid, which is perfect for what I have here because I have these one-shot samples. They're just gonna snap themselves to the grid automatically to quantize. All right, so here we go. I'm just gonna hit apply, snap it to my nearest 16th note. Okay, are we here? Are we working? Cool. Okay, now it seems to be awake. What's going on here? Event, you know, sometimes Pro Tools likes to act brand new. There we go. Now it just quantized. I don't know what was going on. It was a glitch in the matrix. So again, boom, let me just undo that. So you heard the before. Right, and under what to quantize, if I want to quantize audio clips like this, I'm using these samples, right? I just go to make sure under what to quantize, select audio clips, set my grid, hit apply. There's no snap into place. And it's just that easy. All right, let's take a look at the next type of quantization. The next type of quantization, I'll just go ahead and mute this, is to quantize the elastic audio events. All right, so elastic audio basically is going to let you treat your audio clips in a lot of the ways like you would treat MIDI, right? So with this, I have, I'm gonna unmute this track. Let's just hear this. It's the same performance. I just printed it down to this track. So I'll give a whole video one day on elastic audio, but simply when you enable elastic audio on a track, I'm gonna go with the rhythmic. When you enable elastic audio on the track, Pro Tools analyzes the waveform for transients, okay? And it's gonna use those and the results of that analysis to basically treat your audio just like MIDI. Let me go over to my track view selector and change over to my analysis view so you can see what I mean. So Pro Tools has placed these black lines, which are known as event markers, at the start of each one of the transient events that is detected. When I quantize my elastic audio events, Pro Tools is going to use those event markers and snap them to the quantized grid, ultimately warping my audio into place without having to separate the clip or anything. It's going to stretch and compress the audio as it needs to fit it into time, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and change this. Well, we can actually, let's actually go to warp view so we can see how this happens manually, and you'll see the warp markers get created. But ultimately, when you quantizing elastic audio events, the event markers closest to the quantized grid are promoted to warp markers, which are then snapped to the grid. So I'm going to go to event operations, quantize, and then under what to quantize is where I change to elastic audio events. Keep my grid value the same. I'm just gonna simply hit apply. Boom. So you see now they have warp. We have now these little these markers with the blue arrow at the base. Those are known as warp markers. So when I hit play now, we should have a quantized performance. Yikes. 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 That wasn't the best, okay? So let me see if we can fix that. Sometimes when you are quantizing elastic audio, if you getting errors, it's probably because the event markers are erroneous, right? So Pro Tools does its best to detect the events, but boom, you can kind of see like that marker was a little off. So you might have to go through sometimes, especially when you're trying to quantize, and you might have to go through and actually change these markers, move them into place a little bit. Okay. And see here, there isn't even a marker there. I can hold, I can double click, no, right click, hit add event marker. Oh, I'm on the grid, that's why. Here you see it snaps to the grid. Cool, and then let me just zoom in, make sure boom, it's right there. All right, now let's see. Let's try this again. Event operations, quantize, elastic audio events. Yikes. That still ain't working for me. I'm gonna have to break up my edit windows. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Okay. I'm just gonna do a part of this because I don't feel like doing the whole thing. We don't need that one. Aha. And okay, so since I got the overlapping notes, it really doesn't know what the hell to do with those overlapping notes. I probably should have simplified that a little more, but let's see. Event operations, quantize. What if I go to an eighth note? All right, so it's a little better, but ultimately this works better when you have a single track. So for if you have a whole performance like I have here, it probably won't work out the best. So let's see. Actually, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this other performance because I want y'all to see this really work in action. I don't want nobody talking smack on my video. Man, Wayne don't know what he talking about, man. It didn't even work, okay? But I'm just gonna take this, and I'm gonna take these clips, right? I'm gonna move this hi-hat, the timing of the hi-hat. I'm just gonna adjust some of them a little bit off of the grid so that it's not in time anymore. All right, and so I'll keep everything else playing so you can hear it in context. Okay, so we can kind of hear that. All right, so we hear that that's out of time, okay? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna consolidate this clip so it's a whole clip again. So let's go up to edit, consolidate clip, cool. And then I'm gonna enable elastic audio. Rhythmic works best for, you know, drums in the rhythm section. And then I'm going to try to quantize this again. All right, so let's see. Let's go over to my warp view just so we can see what happens here. Cool. At least it has detected the transients a little easier, a little better, because it's only one, you know, element on that track, one sound on that track. So I guess, you know, it's not as advanced as I thought, you know. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna hit apply. Boom, and there we go. Those notes have snapped into place. Don't play me this time. Let's see, how did it do? Yeah, I guess it snapped. It didn't snap this first one. Why didn't quantize that? Yeah, okay. Close enough, but you get the point. You can quantize in a few different ways, all right? I just dropped a new beat making template on my website. Make sure y'all go and check that thing out, all right? Check it out, check it out, check it out. It's the beat making template. It's on Wavy.com. I want to thank everybody who done already put an order in. Y'all are dope, all right? Keep being dope. It's your boy, Wayne.